Hello guys, Dr.Pitanger here, and we're here today on Reddit Arknights to discuss about the new units that have been announced on CN. So huge shout out to another Modzy on Reddit for translating the skills. The goal of this video is simply to make a little analysis of these characters and maybe preview if they are gonna be viable for IS or not. So we're gonna analyze a bit of the skills, the talents, the traits, and so on. So let's start with the 4-star Windscoot. So here's a new Liberator Guard, so the first 4-star Liberator Guard of the game. So his trait is obviously the regular trait of Liberator Guards, so 0 block as long as the skill is non-active, gradually gains attack, and attack is reset when the skill ends. So first talent is when the trait effects of increasing the attack reaches plus 200%, each attack additionally deals another instance of attack as a certain percentage of attack. So this is weirdly worded because from my understanding it only reads as when the skill is active basically, because the attack reaches 200% is when you use the skill, so that's an odd choice of word, but alright. So that means every time the skill is active, each instance of attack deals another instance of attack that deals a certain percentage of attack, which is usually not that good, right? Because the second instance of attack is gonna get defense checked, so it's usually not better than having increased attack instead, but alright, sure. The skill 1 is reduce defense and increase attack speed, which is kinda whatever, sure. And skill 2 is increase the attack range, attacks 2 enemies simultaneously, and each attack deals physical damage, which is again weirdly worded because, well, it's a Liberator Guard, obviously the attack deals physical damage, and they cannot be dodged. So it's basically Tequila, but much worse in the sense that Tequila has increased attack on skill 2, and the charge effect of Tequila's skill on skill 2 means he can attack 3 enemies at the same time, so this one can only attack 2 enemies at the same time. He doesn't have any increased attack, and he trades this for being able to ignore dodge, which is, in most cases, kinda whatever. It has some uses in, for example, IS-2, obviously against Phantom, but there are already much better options against Phantom. So a 4-star Liberator is a bit of an odd choice in IS because right from the beginning, usually you don't want that, right? You want someone that is able to block at all time, so a Liberator is not gonna cut it. And when you're in the late game, it's also kinda odd to pick a Liberator because you want someone to fill some roles, and if you pick a 4-star Liberator to fill a role, then what the fuck are you doing, right? You might as well like pick someone that helps you with a buff or a debuff, and Windscoot doesn't do that. He's a bit of a win-more, I would say, in the sense that you will, in my opinion, probably pick this one if you're near the beginning, not exactly at the beginning, but near the beginning or the mid-game, and you feel like you need just a bit more damage, and you feel like you are okay with him being attacking only during its rotation. I can't expect Windscoot to be very good in IS, unfortunately. I mean, obviously, if you're Silvergun, probably, but other than that, I don't see him being really useful, unfortunately. So now we go to Alanna, the new 5-star Artificer supporter. So the trait is obviously can block 2 enemies and can use support device. The first talent says that she can carry support device, deploy up to 2, and the support device allow an operator to ignore a certain amount of defense when attacking. So this is an actually pretty good effect. Ignoring defense in IS is usually pretty good. Look at Pinecone, for example, or look at Degenbrecher, right? It entirely depends on what this certain amount of defense is. If it's ignore 50 defense, who cares? If it's ignore 500 defense, then it's entirely different, right? It will depend. I can see this being an interesting option when you're very far ahead. I don't think it's gonna be that useful. I mean, the main issue is that it's a 5-star already, so that's already a debuff in itself. And usually, if you want an Artificer, Roberta is gonna be better in most cases. There are much better supporters that can buffs in this rarity. Heidi and Shamare, just to list them. You would be picking her for a much worse buff than Heidi or Shamare, but that can also have 2 blocks. But usually when you pick a buffer or a debuffer, it's in the very late game, and having 2 more blocks in the very late game is kind of whatever, right? So it's kind of odd. The second skill says when skill is active, the attack increases, attack speed increases, and strengthens the talent's effects, and also gains 1 support device when the skill expires. So this is basically S1 Roberta, except strengthens the talent 1. Again, it depends on how strengthened it is, right? I probably don't expect it to be above something like 300 or 400 defense, I'm not sure. So yeah, again, depends on the number. Ignoring defense can be very interesting if you play it with someone that has a very, very high attack speed and deals a lot of instances of damage. For example, Exusa is the perfect example for this. Imagine she allows to ignore, for example, 500 defense per attack, then each time Exusia hits with her S3, she's gonna basically ignore 2500 defense. and so she's gonna deal 2500 extra damage with each shot. So this is extremely powerful, but again, this is only assuming the defense ignore is 500. If it's 200, it's already not that good, right? It's only 1000 extra damage, so buffering can do pretty much the same thing in most cases, even better. Same as Heidi, same as Shamare, so yeah, again, in a world where Shamare exists and reduces the defense of enemies by 50%, I honestly can expect this one to be good, but we'll see. Maybe I can be surprised, who knows. And finally, we have the main event. So this is Monster. She's a 6-star chain medic. So obviously the trait is restores the HP of all allies. It bounces between 3 allies, and the healing is reduced per bounce. So talent 1, she summons a Reconstructor on ground ties within Monster's attack range. The Reconstructor loses HP over time, can only be healed by Monster, and operators around Monster have increased attack. The Reconstructor launches an additional healing when it's healed that does not decay. The talent 2 is when the Reconstructor or Monster heals a target, increases Monster's and the healing's receiver's attack speed for a certain duration. Basically, not only does she heal, but with both talents, she also increases the attack and attack speed of allies. Again, it depends on numbers, but usually a healer that is able to buff is a very good thing. This is pretty much what we expect from healers nowadays. So the S1 is next heal provides healing based on a certain percentage of Monster's attack and has more bounces. It is kind of whatever, I would say. It's just heal more, and as you will see with skill 3, Monster's main selling point is not necessarily to heal. Skill 2 is prioritizes healing the Reconstructor, launches a bounce heal each time Reconstructor receives healing from Monster, and strengthens the effect of talent 2 by a few times, which is pretty good, right? Basically, he says increase the attack speed of allies that are healed by Monster or the Reconstructor even more. So this is pretty good. And obviously we have the skill 3 that literally changes her class for a couple seconds. So the attack range changes, Monster teleports to the position of the Reconstructor, increase attack speed, increase block, increase max HP, lose HP every second, attacks all blocked enemies, attacks deal true damage, restores HP based on a certain percentage of attack when attacking, returns to the original position when the skill expires or when Monster receives lethal damage. So with that out of the way, where will she be used? As you can see, this is pretty much Calcit, but that doesn't have Monster available at all time, pretty much. And also is unbelievably reliant on S3. So that means that whenever you recruit Monster, you will have to find another medic voucher very soon, or a scouting node, or a safe house, and hope that the safe house has the elite promotion voucher. So you have to be very careful when picking Monster, because if you want someone that is able to deal damage and not only heal and or buff, then you absolutely need to be aware of the map, and if there's a scouting node just after or a safe house just after, this kind of stuff. Obviously this also works with the tactical range squad, but I'm not sure if she's actually a very good start, because again, she can only block for a few seconds before returning as a pure healer. So if you pick Monster even at E2 from the beginning, you also need to pick someone that is able to block, so probably someone like Cutter or this kind of thing. Obviously she will benefit from the same items as Calcit, but she will benefit even more from Foul Beast, for example, because the operator Monster will be the one attacking. And how it's worded, it says that she teleports to the position of the Reconstructor, so I assume the Reconstructor switches position and there's still a Reconstructor while Monster is there, so I assume she will be able to benefit from Foul Beast, and that's unbelievably powerful. So we now have the first operator that is able to benefit both from Foul Beast directly, I mean, because as you may know, Foul Beast has basically two effects, one that benefits the summoner even more than the one that benefits the summon. So Monster benefits from Foul Beast and from Civilite Eterna. So in the late game, if you have both of these items, or even one of these items, she will be an extremely strong pick. One thing to consider is that even if you can only recruit her at E1, or if you're only lacking a healer when you're recruiting her, then it's absolutely fine, because again, that's a healer that can also increase attack speed, that is almost guaranteed to heal with bounces, since the Reconstructor will always lose HP and therefore will always be healed, therefore always bounce between all units, and also buff your allies. So it's not bad at all. It's not rare that near the mid game I realize, oh, but I don't have any healer, and maybe I want to recruit a healer at this point. And usually I would recruit like a pure healer, something like Tilopsis or Eyjafjalla altar, this kind of things. And now I believe Monster can absolutely fill this role, because not only will she be an extremely good healer, she will later on evolve to also being a very good damage dealer. So yeah, I can see her being an extremely good mid-game pick or even late-game pick when you absolutely want a healer, and at the same time you also have Civilite Eterna, Foul Beast, intend to get either or both of them. So yeah, this was my opinion on all 3 new units that are gonna release. Feel free to comment what you expect from them, leave a like, subscribe, and see you in the next video.